everyone. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Always so happy to find you. If you're new, thank you for your subscription. Stick around with your girl for a long time. I am piggybacking. I'm going to stop saying the word follow up. I'm piggybacking off of my recent post with Jimmy Kimmel's return to late night TV, which everyone was so excited about, and his outstanding ratings as a result of being off the air for about 4 days, from Thursday to Tuesday, just this past Tuesday, just actually yesterday. So if you're interested in that, I'll drop that into the description box so that you can see my video on that. This part of it, I want to talk about the employment piece. And I wouldn't say I'll be careful, but I'll be, what's a better word? Because it's not careful. Girl ain't got to be careful when she knows what she's talking about, trust. I'll be considerate. There you go. I'll be considerate of the industry, Hollywood. It's Hollywood. Because on more than an occasion, I have had an opinion and I've had a verbalized thought, which is an opinion. I've even opined about it at times. How is it that Hollywood gets away with what it gets away because it's Hollywood when it too is an employer in California and it must follow the same employment laws? You see, I never understood that, because when any industry does not follow that, they make a god of themselves up and above the law itself. They become untouchable. And that's really problematic. This is why we're having this shift, I think, in this country. So this is America, and I know that you could watch this anywhere in the world. So I'm talking about what's going on in our country, this sense of the United States of division that we're experiencing, this difference of opinions, a difference of thought process, this sense of no longer any camaraderie, but destruction and all that. You feel it in the energy of it. So, but maybe that'll be my next post, that the whole energy of this. But Hollywood, particularly when the Me Too movement kind of exploded with the whole Harvey Weinstein, and he's just kind of to me, the face of it. But there was a list of, I believe, 125 actors and comedians and Hollywood names, I'll say that way, that have been accused of some of the same things that Harvey Weinstein had done too, and had, well, yeah, they said done now at this point, because it's no longer, yeah. Nonetheless, I just saw something. What was that? Whew, I gotta watch. I apologize. Um, focus. When the whole Me Too movement exploded publicly, people thought it was occurring right then and there. But the Me Too movement had been around for years, and the complaints preceded the Me Too movement, before the Me Too movement even came. So a lot of times when we begin to hear about these issues and these cases, they had been already in talks and complaints that you and I don't see in the public eyes, because these companies want to reserve their company image. I'll put it that way. So a lot of times we don't even see it. And this is why I've never been an opponent. I'm an opponent. I've never been a proponent of. I'm an opponent of the silencer in a lawsuit. This is where you can't talk about this. Well, why not? Because when you don't talk about it, you are also, it's not like you're out to destroy the industry, but to not talk about it means that no one else has heard about it and they think they're alone. So at least you'll understand that there is a formulating history there, to I'll put it. So I need my train of thought. When an industry does not follow a law by which governs that industry, it makes itself a god, and they're able to get away with it without accountability for such a long period of time that when you try to make them accountable, they fight you back. Now, ain't that some nonsense? This is what I mean by that. So, for example, let's use this Jimmy Kimmel situation. we were talking about the freedom of speech and him doing his monologue. The issue is the freedom of speech. If there is a concern that has been reported to the company, which this company is ABC and its parent company is Disney, by which Jimmy works. He gets paid from them, so he works. If there was such a complaint, the complaint should typically go through the powers that be to hear the complaint at its base, and then it elevates itself up. Typically, always is that way. It is a process flow. It is a step-by-step process by which a person needs to make that complaint. When you go straight to the head and you're the president of the United States, you get heard. You get heard. If the president of the United States called, and I don't really agree with a lot of things that he says and his actions that I don't find him presidential, but if he called, I'll take his call. I'll take his call. But you don't get to tell me to fire one of my employees, and especially one of my lauded ones, one of my well-named ones, one of the ones who come against you. This is bullyism. Now, why Disney didn't see that immediately is to be probably forever unknown, but yet they took the action. You don't get to tell me to terminate my employee. So let's just use something. Let's use something less Hollywood. Let's just say shopping. We all shop. And let's say you go to the grocery store and somebody didn't treat you right. You don't get to go to the manager, ask for the manager on duty, and complain about Susie Jane and insist she gets terminated. You don't get to do that. You get to make your complaint, and you should make it with an example of what took place and why you feel the way you feel, and that you need to make this report about Susie Jane, and leave it with the employer. This is how a process works. You don't get to hire for the company. You don't get to fire for the company. But it happens all the time. This is why I don't like the hiring system, because no one really audits the hiring system. This is why I love DEI and hated that it went away, because DEI makes the employers accountable visually too. So having said that, I did not understand. I still don't understand. And I still don't agree, even though Jimmy came back, for Disney to take that action, because what that would say to me as Jimmy, now Jimmy took care of himself quite well, more than I could have thought I would have, but what that would say to me is that, one, you don't value me enough to even consider not taking the action. Number two is, you know that much of my monologue has been aim the fiery flame, aim the comedic, as much comedy as I can against this person who won. You don't see the vengeance in that. You don't see that he's coming for me because I make a joke or I make an ass out of the ass kind of thing. You don't see that. You don't see his bullyism. You took the action against me. It would make me lose confidence in you as my employer, even if I came back, because what you now have done is showed me there are at least some time that you would stand against me. Although I've had a rating return that was 4 times higher than my average rating this entire season. We'll see where's there's the value. So when Hollywood does this, I've never cared for it, because somehow or another they seem to escape or absurd or back away or shun or ignore all the other basic employer laws. And I never understood how they think they could do that. however they do in great regularity. And it seems as if they almost will just pay a person away, you know, instead of us going through this lawsuit. Here's $10,000 or $20,000 till you find your next job. But what that doesn't take care of is the action against the person's personhood, how they felt about it. Who wants to be fired? Nobody. So how they feel about it, how they have to explain it to their household, how they have to go over this financial hump that you caused by not investing in them as an employee there. And I just never understood how Hollywood could get away with these wrongful contracts, with not paying out, their talent, their artists, especially the record labels on time, how it is they get 15 cents per album and all this stuff, and you claim that you have to pay for marketing, you have to pay for the looks, you have to pay, but then you won't let outside people come in for less costly price and all that. It's just a capitalistic system that Hollywood runs, and they want everyone to be a star, and they give you the lights, camera, action. But beneath that, many of them are not barely even making it because Hollywood could make them and can break them. I never understood an employer who would do that. Not even as a contract employee, because as we know, as a contract employee, what we call a 1099 or one that's on some type of contractual agreement for a term. And, a lot of companies are at will. I never liked at will either, but at will, and say they can just let you go for all this. Well, no, you can't really. I know you think you can, but the right curveball can come back and just knock you down. So having said that, I never understood why a good employer would take that chance. Never got it. Never, still won't get it. You won't be able to explain to me why. Because what that says to me is you lack investment in your greatest asset. And because you do that, by default, you're not a good employer. And how can I say that? Master level understanding in the field. I know what's in the attic. I know what's in the basement. And those are the two areas only certain people will go into. So just trust me is all I can say. Just trust me. Do you go in the attic at your house? If you go in the basement often, you got to have a reason to even want to either. So needless to say, not a fan of Disney's. I didn't even like when Disney suspended Whoopi Goldberg for her misunderstanding of or misspeaking. So she misspoke about, I don't think it was the Jewish Holocaust, but it has something to do with the Jewish community. And boy, they put this whole blast out on how she was suspended. And when she came back, she had to take a rights of understanding. And they brought her back with some rabbi on the show to help her understand her misunderstanding. Why couldn't they do that in public? Because they didn't want to offend their boards of directors and their investors and all of this. Well, this is nonsense. This is like kiss the velvet glove of the king. How fragile the eagle of the king and all of this nonsense. I'm just not, I guess I'm too much of an earth girl to give a crap about somebody's ego. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. If you got this part, let your ego go. The ego is crooked. If you've gotten this far, please click like, please hit subscribe, bring a friend with you next time, and I'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye, y'all.